Welcome back to the Pig and Whiskey Test Kitchen. Today I'm going to show you how to make a classic beef stew on the smoker. So ditch your crock pot and let's get started. Grab a cast iron skillet, but really any oven safe pan will do. Then we're going to add 1 cup of flour to the pan, and then 1/4 cup of brisket fat. I know that you have been saving your renderings from your previous brisket cooks, but if you haven't, you definitely should. The fat will boost the beefy flavor in the final dish. If you are out of rendered fat, feel free to use anything you have on hand: vegetable oil, bacon grease, etc. Once you have them combined, we're going to set that aside while we prepare our beef. Today we're using London broil, which is technically a top round. Lay the beef on your cooking rack, which, if you haven't figured out by now, is one of the most essential pieces of barbecue equipment that most folks don't have. We're going to rub the roast with Beef Base. Your preferred brand will do. Just give that a quick smear on the outside, trying to coat it thoroughly so that it creates a binder for our rub, but also provides an extra beef flavor to this cut. Notice how we are layering these beefy flavors with the base and the brisket fat. These are techniques competition cooks use to get beef to taste more like beef, if that makes any sense. Now, a preferred cut for beef stew would be a chuck roast, but this was on sale for $2.99 a pound, so we're going to use this today. If your hand looks like a proctological exam gone wrong, then you know you've done it right. Now, we're going to grab some kosher salt and season it just like you would a steak. Give it a pretty hefty coat, and then we're going to add some fresh ground black pepper. I like to grind it fresh every time before I begin a cook. Now we're just going to sprinkle that on thoroughly. Flip it over and repeat the process, being sure to get the sides of the meat as well. Perfect, our coals are up to temp, and today we're going to flavor the meat with a chunk of pecan wood. Drop that in and place your beef on the smoker and set the cast iron skillet to the side. Set your timer for 30 minutes and let's head inside to chop some vegetables. Here we are starting with 2 large carrots. We're just going to rough chop those. Up next we have some baby red potatoes. I like to use red potatoes because they're a little more waxy than russets and tend to hold their shape better during a long braise such as this. I don't normally put mushrooms in my beef stew, but they were only $1 at the store, so I figured, what the hell. Next up, we're going to chop some onions. Again, just rough chop will be fine. Do me a favor and go ahead and mash that button. Now place your onions in a bowl and set those aside. Next up we have 3 cloves of garlic. Just going to give them a quick whack and chop and throw them in with the onions. Set our veg to the side, grab our onions and head to the smoker. The roux has been on the smoke for about 30 minutes and should be a nice blonde color. Add the onions and garlic to the pan. Give that a quick stir and set a timer for another 30 minutes. Okay, it's been a full hour, so we're going to give the meat a quick flip, then drop a stir on the onions and set a timer for 1 hour. It has been 1 hour, so we're going to add 1 cup of dry red wine to the onion mixture. Beer would also work. Our beef has now cooked for a total of 2 hours, so we're going to remove it from the smoker and cube it up. Right now our beef is not very tender, but that's okay. We're just going to slice it into chunks and give it a rough cube. Again, you can see the meat is still pretty tough, but we're going to braise it until it becomes very tender. So place your beef cubes in a Dutch oven or something similar. Add our onions to the beef, and to that we're going to add 1 bay leaf and a teaspoon of thyme. Then 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce and 2 tablespoons of concentrated tomato paste. Then we're going to add a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. Then finally, 1 full container of beef stock. Give that a quick stir and let's head to the smoker. Place your Dutch oven right in the middle of the smoker and close the lid. Let that go for 1 hour. After 1 hour, we are going to check to see if the beef is tender. And if it is not, we're going to let it go a little longer. But we're going to cook that until the beef is fork tender. Once tender, your sauce will have reduced, so we're going to add some water as needed. I added 1 cup, but if you like your stew to be a little more soupy, you can certainly double that. Give that a quick stir and place the lid on your Dutch oven. My oval roaster doesn't have a lid, so I'm just going to place a piece of foil over the top. Now we're going to let that go for another hour or until our vegetables are fork tender. If your vegetables don't fall off the fork when you stab them, then you should let them go a little bit longer. But here, as you can see, our stew is perfect. Place the foil back on and remove from the smoker. You can serve this immediately, and as you can see, the stew is nice and thick and hearty. Scoop some into a bowl and garnish with a little bit of chopped parsley. And here is the finished product. This has all the classic traditional flavors, but with a hint of briskety goodness. It is beefy, smoky, and delicious. Thank you for joining us today in the Pig and Whiskey Test Kitchen. Hope to see you next time. And don't forget, subscribe.